Dozens of social grant beneficiaries are still stranded and cannot access their money as workers of the South African Post Office are still on a nationwide strike. Now, this strike started on the 6th of July. It's hindered the payment of social unions representing the workers are demanding a 12% salary increase, but Sapo says it can only afford 6% increase across the board for all of its employees. Joining us now, we've got Aubrey Tshabalala. He's the General Secretary of the Communication Workers Union, or CWU, to talk about the strike and the current negotiations. Now, just to put it out there, Morning Live did invite Sapo, but they declined, saying that the negotiations are at a very critical and sensitive point and they would rather not talk. So, Aubrey, we do thank you for coming and talking to us this morning.
Thank you.
So, the wage negotiation between the union and Sapo, this is nothing new. I mean, this is something that's been ongoing. The party started earlier this year. They've hit a deadlock. Where are we at right now? Just bring us up to speed.
Well, thank you very much and good morning to viewers. Negotiations started early, as you have indicated, around February. And where we are at this point in time is that Sapo has offered us 6% with a backdrop of saying that workers have compromised 2 years without any salary increase. So our demand this year was basically at 12%. We have moved down to 10%. But the other critical point is that we have those workers that are working 4-hour shift, meaning half a day. We are demanding that they should be working 8 hours, meaning they should be contracted at a permanent positions as we speak.
Yeah. I mean, your demand, what are you asking for? I mean, I know initially it was at 12%, and the employeers were offering 6%. So, I mean, you were way off for both of you. So, yes. Where is it sitting right now?
We are sitting at 10 currently, and we are saying that we are willing to negotiate and discuss what percentage that could be better off. I mean, Sapo is giving us 6%, which is way too low comparing the facts that I've just raised. But more so, it's important to highlight that Sapo is a state-owned entity and it services the poor. So we are worried by the attitude of the state that on institutions that services the poor, I mean, we talk about the grants, we talk about the downtrodden, those who are outskirts of the country that relies on Sapo to get the services, are not getting those services, and the state has to intervene in those issues. Particularly if you look at the ICASA regulations, Post Office cannot increase its tariffs to services the poor because they are regulated. But we also have a private sector that has a free role in that space. So it is important, therefore, that the state has to look into those finances and support South African Post Office with regards to that.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously see that you're still demanding the 12%, but I think the question to you is, has there at all been an indication from the Post Office that they are going to put a new offer on the table, that they have upped the 6%? Have they given you any indication of this?
Well, fortunately, workers yesterday went to Union Building by themselves because there was the interministerial meeting there. We happened to meet with the partial department as well as the CEO of Post Office. There is indications that there will be some sort of intervention. We have further indicated that we wanted to meet a minister. I think the meeting will happen on Thursday, which is tomorrow.
This is the Minister Pravin Gordhan?
No, Minister Kwele. In this instance, yes, who's in telecommunication and postal services.
Okay.
So there's some move that gives us a hope and gives us a light at the end of the day. What is critical to us is that there are two areas. We have a number of demands that we have put on the table, but we've said that we have to look into the question basically of salary increase that is pensionable and that is backdated. We have to look into the question of converting all workers into permanent position. Those are deal breakers in our view as workers.
Yeah. CCMA, you asked for them to get involved as well. Have they been assisting you? Has it been a good move to bring them in on the negotiations?
Well, it has been. You'll recall that from January, Post Office has been saying 0 on the table up until the last couple of days where CCMA have intervened. We are at that particular point now. I think that CCMA has helped to a certain extent, but we are not satisfied with what has been put on the table currently.
Yeah, there's obviously, this is coming at a very sensitive stage, and the reality was, the switchover for social grants, and many beneficiaries still have not received their money, and we're sitting on now the 11th of the month, and many of them hoping that they would have had this at least 10, 11 days ago. But of course, with the strike action, this has made the situation even worse. Does this concern you at all, going on the strike action?
It does concern us. We're coming from the poor background ourselves. We are workers coming from those communities. We know by no stretch of any imagination can grants earners survive without those grants a day extra. So we've tried by all means. I mean, on the 29th, we should have gone on strike of June. We avoided that. On the 2nd, we also avoided that, saying that at least there should be some payments of grant. We are happy to hear from the CEO that 95% what has been expected has been done. But the unfortunate part is that much of the delay was coming from the post office side. If they were serious about it, they should have engaged with us even on the days when we postponed our action. But they delayed to do that, and basically, which resulted to the poor suffering at the end of the day. And it concerns us. We are still looking to it. We said that we need to meet as soon as possible so that we can resolve these issues and try to avoid more problems around that area.
Very quickly, let's talk about some of the conditions that the workers at the post office are under, because there is word out there that the workload has increased quite substantially on the post office workers. They are not being remunerated for it. You yourself have said that it's 2 years now since that they received an increase. And I must say, when I walk into a post office, I see them completely understaffed. And you'll stand in a queue with one counter that's actually operational, and very much so, not a very happy-looking person working behind that counter. And, you know, sometimes we have to stop and think why they're so unhappy. And obviously it has to do with what you're being paid and the kind of incentives that you're getting. Now, those are the questions I'm asking you. The conditions of work at the post office, any hiring, some positions, they look understaffed, they look overworked, and there's no will to want to be there. Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. Not only on remuneration only. You look at the working condition in terms of the infrastructure. Post office workers in many areas where there's no water, there are no toilets, there are no air conditions, windows broken, electricity wire falling everywhere else. Those some of the conditions, protectional clothing. The bicycles that they're riding, they have to take out from their pockets to fix those bicycles from time to time. That has been happening over the years. Yeah. So this is how much workers of post office have compromised themselves to say, in as much as I don't get a sufficient salary, but let me fix this tool of work so that I can be able to deliver the post on a daily basis. So these are some of the things. We go to the outskirt areas where we have depots. You find in those depots there's no electricity, there's no toilets and so forth. They have to go to the neighbors to serve themselves. But those are the challenges that we are experiencing. Hence, we're saying that for post office to be where it is, if you recall, in around 2007, right up until 2014, workers were consistently toying and saying there is corruption in post office. We went to the public protector. There was a report revealed. It was because of workers, but the sluggishness from the political side of the parliamentarians to respond to those challenges made post office to be where it is. It's not because the business was not swiftly running, but it's because they allowed the corruption to take place. They allowed all these things to happen and people looting money, and that's led us to this situation.
All right, Aubrey, we have to leave it there. I know we've just spoken about the post office. There's Telkom involved in all of this as well. Yeah. Is the offer still 3% from Telkom for workers, or have they moved that up?
They haven't moved it up.
Still 3%?
Still 3%. We are looking at intensifying that particular action as well.
All right. Let's leave it there. Aubrey Tshabalala, the General Secretary of the Communication Workers Union, talking to us about the current post office strike, and also a strike at Telkom as well on wage negotiations. So this is something that we're watching closely for you. Let's take a break. See you after this.